Hey, what's going on, everyone? Vega here for SerpentX Tech, and I wanted to bring you guys another update regarding the Apollo II from FutureBit. In the last video, I showed you the basic setup process, but I experienced some issues. You shouldn't experience these issues on your own, but I just wanted to cover what I did to overcome it. Now, originally, we had the Apollo 1, right? And we can see the size difference between the two. This one is a lot smaller. This one has the exact same hash rate if I were to have three of these put together. And you can combine them. You can combine, this is a full node one because you can see here the connections on the back, whereas the standard one does not have those type of connections. So you would connect via micro USB to type A the standard units to the full node, giving you the same hash rate that you would get from the Apollo 2. So basically the predecessor isn't as efficient and as powerful as the Apollo 2, which is why I upgraded. But also upgraded because both of these don't work because lightning hit the house. You can see about that on my channel. Anyways, to get the Apollo 2 up and running, what I found out, for some reason, I messed up at the very beginning when setting up the Apollo 2. I kicked it on and I plugged in my standard unit to it via the USB cable, right? And then I realized I didn't have this guy plugged in. There was no 6-pin power going to it, and I immediately hit the power.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
To turn this thing off. That is where I messed up. And the power button's right here. So I turned it on and I quickly turned it off. The power button is a nice feature because you don't get that with the original Apollo 1. And you don't want to do that. On initial boot, on initial startup, you do not want to do that. If you're going to power it on and leave it on. Don't power it on and then 20 seconds, 30 seconds later, turn it off, because you will interrupt the initialization process. And I think that's what messed me up, because it would not let the node sync up. So in essence, I took, this is actually the NVMe SSD out of the Apollo 2. I took it out and replaced it with the original Apollo 1 NVMe SSD, and everything is back up and running. So I had to do that because of my mess up of just simply interrupting the initialization, the initial startup phase of the Apollo 2. So just avoid that at all costs. Now, you shouldn't need to do that. I did also swap out the micro SD at the bottom. It's kind of taped on the Apollo 2, kind of preventing you from removing it or it falling out during shipping. But that wasn't the issue. The OS wasn't an issue. I even showed you how you can update your OS. It's just right here on your micro SD. I showed you how to do that in a previous video, but now I have the Apollo 2 OS on this one and that one, and then I had another micro SD that I just converted to Pi OS. But this is the original drive from the Apollo 2, and swapping that out allowed me the node, I guess, to work. Now, I tested this drive in an external enclosure and it works just fine. I mean, it's a perfectly good 1 terabyte NVMe, or maybe just a regular SSD. I'm not sure, I haven't looked it up yet. But that shouldn't have prevented the node from syncing. But because I already had this node already synced until Lightning took it out late July, all the entire chain from Bitcoin was already on there. So once it got plugged into here, it was good to go. So after some while of not getting the node to work, I was able to shut down and get everything back online. But I noticed if the power goes out, you just saw the node go from yellow. If you paid attention to that just a second ago, that went from yellow to green. Because I noticed if I shut down, like if I have to shut down my power strip over here, get these units off, when I boot up the Apollo, it seems like the node's not coming online right away. So you have to go and you have to hit start node, go to the node and hit start node, and it will catch right back up. Not sure if there's some interruptions or whatnot. I am connected. If you checked out my settings in my previous video, I'm connected via Tor. I'm using it to run my Bitcoin transactions, all kinds of stuff. But every time you go to power this device on, after restart or anything like that, just make sure your node is online. It should automatically connect. But I've been seeing recently, at least when I have to power it off, that it doesn't automatically start. I have to come to node and then hit start node. Now, the Apollo 2 is fairly new, and I'm sure that more updates will be coming out in the future. But I just wanted to share this video with you and just share that tip. If you get this guy and you're starting it up for the first time, don't let it initialize and immediately interrupt it. That's basically the gist of the video. That's the point that I'm trying to make here. I may have messed it up by powering it on and 30 seconds later powering it off, all because I was trying to connect my standard node to it. It is super efficient. It's super quiet unless it's on startup. And I really like the fact that I'm getting the exact same hash rate with 3 of my original Apollo 1s together just with 1 unit. And you can see the power draw drop down to 273 from my previous video. So on balance mode, I love this thing. We haven't tried overclocking. We'll look at it in a future video, but just be cautious. And realistically, with most electronic devices, especially devices that have some type of syncing process it needs to do, you know, when you start up, don't immediately interrupt it by shutting it down. I mean, obviously you can't help if a power outage happens or anything like that, you know, God forbid lightning strike or whatever it might be interrupts the process. You're just going to cause yourself some more headaches. So just be patient, wait, and always properly shut down the device through the menu or programs provided to you. So power, and you can see right here, reboot, shut down, sign out. Shut it down properly, and you might avoid the mistake that I dealt with. And I did talk to the FutureBit team, sharing information, and finally I was like, hey, let me just swap out the NVMe drive that already has most of the Bitcoin blockchain over to the Apollo 2, and that worked for me. But not everybody will have the Apollo 1 on hand in order to do that. So best thing you can do, power it on, leave it alone, and you'll be good to go. So that's it. I just wanted to share that with you. Sorry for not adding that to the previous video, but do me a favor on the way out. Hit that like button, make sure to get subscribed, hit the notification bell to stay up to date, as well as check out additional links in the description to help support the channel and what we do here, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.